hoy es viernes, yo soy Rory y estoy contento de estar aquí contigo hoy. So today's Friday. In my email out to the community yesterday, I said it's been a normal week, but I have to share with you that we are at the foster house here, we're in the driver training phase of life. And that is, if you've ever gone through it, that's a phase that's both super exciting and mortifying at the same time. Leslie and I are pretty old school when it comes to a lot of things in life. And one of those is that we wanted our kids to learn how to drive on a standard transmission. But we didn't have a vehicle with standard transmissions. So we both grew up doing that and think it's pretty important, especially as we travel internationally and stuff a lot. We realize that you just can't get an automatic everywhere you go. So we found an old Toyota pickup that we got a good deal on. A friend was moving out of town and it had some engine trouble, and we knew about it, the engine trouble, so he just wanted to get rid of it. He didn't want to move it. So we purchased the pickup from him and end up, we need to replace the motor. So we find a used motor at a junkyard, and we get it swapped out to help us with the swap out and everything. And we get it back a couple weeks ago. And Caleb, our oldest, he'll be 15 in June, which is when he can get his learner's permit after he does his 30 hours of online sort of theory training for driving. And so we've had the truck here a couple weeks. We've been driving it around, and the kids are super excited about it. And so one evening, earlier this week, I said, "Hey, Caleb, come with me. We got to go get the mail." And because our mail doesn't come to our house, it goes to a bank of mailboxes for the whole community. And so it was late at night. There wasn't anybody on the roads. And so, "Caleb, come with me to go get the mail." He's like, "Well, what's going on?" And so I tossed him the keys and said, "Okay, let's figure this out." And so I don't know. I need to do a little more stretching. We've had lots of stops and starts, and he's getting the hang of it though. But we've been having fun every night. He's like, "Dad, do we need to go get the mail tonight?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we need to go get the mail." So anyway, we're learning how to drive at our house. Bien, hoy hablamos los números y información demográfica y signos vitales. So los números para información demográfica. Last week we did the first lesson of this sort of 2-lesson series. And today we're focusing on numbers and how those are a part of basic intake forms. And so we're going to look at numbers today. We're going to look at months of the year to help with dates. And we're also going to look at some basic vital signs and how numbers are essential to communicating some of those vital signs results, okay? So let's jump right in. Remember, nuestro paciente from last week is yo. So we've got nombre y apellido Rory Foster, Rory nombre, apellido Foster, right? Y fecha de nacimiento, date of birth, el 5 de julio de 1976. El 5 de julio de 1976. Notice that the year we're using the natural number, 1976. And so you could communicate however you want to, right? You could communicate digit by digit. But you've got to be prepared to hear someone as they're telling you their date of birth. You need to be able to understand a big number, thousands. So we'll get to the thousands here today. Edad, 42 años. 42 años muy jóvenes. Sexo, hombre. Ocupación, instructor de español. And remember, we looked at last week the common setup or the common question to get this information is ¿cuál es su, and then fill in the blank. ¿Cuál es su apellido? What's your last name? ¿Cuál es su fecha de nacimiento? What's your date of birth? However, when you talk about occupation, you could do it the same way. ¿Cuál es su ocupación? But we also saw the question, ¿en qué trabaja? What do you do for work? In what do you work, basically? ¿En qué trabaja? Okay? Bien. Dirección. 3598 Alpine Drive, Erie, Colorado, 80516. Now here, we didn't do 80,000 right now. I just broke it into two. 80 516, but we did get 516. So we've got to be good at big numbers. Again, you can say them digit by digit, but you have to be able to understand the full big number because that's how people talk in Spanish. So we're going to work on those today. Número de teléfono móvil 303. Again, natural number because it doesn't really work to say 33. And if you could do 303. You might hear that too in this context. 684 55 57. Bien. Contacto en caso de emergencia. Mi esposa, Leslie Foster. Proveedor de atención primaria. Rory's bad patient. Seguro médico, Medishare. Motivo para la visita, dolor de cadera. Actually, I'm going to the PT on Monday. I'm excited to figure out what's wrong with my hip. Muy bien. Alergias, no alergias a medicamentos. Y cambios recientes, dolor de cadera. See? So I've been doing yoga with Leslie lately a couple times a week, and it just hasn't fixed my hip automatically. So time for paso número 2. Head to the physical therapist and see what she has to say. Bien. All right. So los números form una parte super importante of collecting patient information, right? That shows up on the intake form. And you see how it's showed up in some regular contextos here. And we need to just start from 0. Son of a gun, I didn't put 0 in there. But 0 is cero. I should have started with 0. Cero. We've got number 1, which is 15, or uno. So we've starting with uno. I should have put 0, which is cero. C-E-R-O. Big oversight, Rory. Bien. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, 1 through 10, maybe you have been around Spanish enough that this isn't a big deal. You kind of know 1 to 10. You learned them as a kid. You sung a song or something like that. 1 a 10. If not, you've got them right here for you. Bien? But where things start to get a little confusing and slightly squirrely is after 10. So we've got 11, which is 11, 12, 12, 13, 14, and 15. You see some relationship to, 1 to 4 here in these. However, 15 totally irregular. Doesn't make sense, right? 15. Bien. So, in fact, most Romance languages, 11 through 15, there's something funky about how those are expressed. But after 15, we start seeing the regular rule or the general rule for how numbers are patterned in Spanish, which is great. We do have patterns that we have to follow in Español. So la regla general is base 10, the base 10 number, y, and then your 1 through 9. Okay? So you've got your base 10 and then your ones, right? And then you've got an E in the middle separating those two. So here's some examples, starting with 16. 16. Now, some people write it 16, which is totally fine. But this shows the general rule, the base 10, E, and then the ones. Moving on, 17, 18, 19. You don't hear it like 3 words. You hear it like 1 word, 19. But this is an acceptable way to write it, and I like it because it reminds us of the pattern. Okay? Bien. So if everything's based on our base 10s after 15, we need to really nail those. We need to know what those are. Because, 1 through 9, not that hard. You can commit those to memory quickly. So let's figure out the base 10s. So 20 is 20. So following the example of base 10, E, and then the ones, how would you say 29? 29. 29. Now there's another way to write this word, so it's all one word with an I and all squished together instead of the E here, but we don't have to worry about it. This is acceptable, okay? And it shows us the pattern. All right, 30 is 30, 30. So how are you going to say 38? Follow the pattern. 38, okay? How about 40? 40, 47. 47. Okay? 50, 50, 50. So how are you going to say 56? 56. Muy bien, 56. Moving on to 60. 60 for 60. 65. 65. Now 74, 70. 74. 74. 80. 80 83. 83. 83. 90. How are you going to say 92? 92. All right, you're getting the idea of how this pattern works, right? So we've got our 1 through 9. You really have to nail those because those show up everywhere, right? And then your base 10s, you get those set and you're good up to 100. But now, of course, you saw in some of those phone numbers and things like that, we have to be able to talk in the hundreds as well, at least understand in the hundreds, okay? So let's go on into the hundreds. So los 100. Starting off, 100 is only used for 100 even. You'll never say 100 unless you're saying 100 even. Everything after that is ciento. So for like 101, you have to say ciento, okay? And in fact, to say 101, how are you going to do it? You just repeat the pattern. So the pattern starts with uno, right? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. So 101 is just 101, just like it is in English. Ciento uno. Ciento uno. Okay? No E's in there, nothing. The E only goes between the tens and the ones. Does that make sense? Okay. Bien. So 200 is 200. 200. So how would you say 210? Just like we do in English. 210. Okay? 210. 210. Okay, perfecto. Let's go to 300. 300. 300. You're seeing some really obvious patterns here, right? 200, 300. Okay? Yeah, it's not rocket science. It just takes some getting used to. Okay? 300. So how do you say 315? Just apply the pattern, just like you do in English. 315. You don't say 315. You just say 315. So 15, remember, is one of those funny ones. Do you remember it? It's 15. So 315. 315. Bien. Excelente. 400. 400. 400. How would you say 491? 491. So now here we've got the tens and the ones pattern repeating again, right? So here we do have the E, but no, you don't have it anywhere else. 491. Bien. 500 is irregular. You're going to want to make a note of this, but it kind of reminds you of what you saw with 15 also. 500, it's not 500, it's 500, okay? So how would you say 585? So you have to say 500 and then do your 80s, E5, okay? 585, 585, okay? Bien. 600 is 600, 600. So 673, 673. 673. 700 is 700. So how would you say 754? So you have to do 750 and 4. Okay? Notice that for 700, it's sete, not quite siete. It's 700. Just like 500, 700 is a little irregular también. So 754. 754. 800, how would you say 862? So you have to do the 800, then remember your 60, which is 60, and then 2. So that's what it is, 862. Okay? 900, 900, 900. So 936. So remember your 30s, you have to say 30 and 6, right? So 900, again, like 700 and 500, a little irregular. It's not quite 900 like all these others are. You don't see the number in there exactly. 900, how would you say 36? 36. 936. And then we have to, unfortunately, get into the thousands. Now, there's probably some metrics and results and test results and things you'll need to be able to explain to your patients using thousands, maybe some blood cell counts, things like that. But also dates. Dates require thousands, and so we need to get into los mil, okay? So, mil. So, mil is 1,000, and now the pattern just continues repeating. So we already did the hundreds pattern, right? So now we have to do 1,976, okay? So how are you going to say that? 1,976, mil, and then remember your 900? We just did it. 900, and then 70 and 6. So 1976. 1976, okay? Moving to 2000. 2000, and this, honestly, as far as dates go, that's all you're going to need. The 1900s and the 2000s, right, for date of birth. Bien, so we've got 2000 here. How would you say 2010? 2010. Good year. That's the year Eliana was born. It is, you just say 2000 and then 10 because our pattern is repeating. 2010. Okay, 2010. That's exactly how we do it in English. It's not cryptic or super challenging. You just have to make sure you know how to say the thousands, right? But the format is the same. 3,150 using tres mil. How are you going to do that? 3,150. 3,150. 3,150. Okay? Continuing on to 4,000. 4,000. 4,000. 4,000. Let's say 4,502. 4,502. 4,502. 4,502. 4,502. 5,000. 5,000. 5,820. See? I think I was thinking about the altitude of Denver, but I mixed up the 8 and the 2. It's 5,280. Okay, 5820. Anyway, so how are you going to say 5,820? Starting with 5,820. 5,820. Not the elevation of Denver. 6,000. Okay, for 6,000, how are we going to say 6,370? 6,000, what's our number for 300? 300, and then 70, 70. 6,370. Okay, bien, continuamos. 7,000. We're about halfway through the thousands here, so hang with me. 7,641. How are you going to say that? Remember, the 40 and 1 is how we'll do it in Spanish. So, 7,641. Okay? Bien. 8,000, what's your guess? 8,000. Yeah. 8,000. 8,015. How are you going to say that? The pattern is just the pattern. 8,015. Okay? So, for 8,000 is 8,015. 8,015. All right. 9,000. 9,000. 9,999. Okay? 9,000. Okay? 9,000. But now 900 is one of those tricky ones. It's not quite 900. It's 900. Okay? 9,999. All right? Bien. So now, moving on into 10,000, it's just the same. 10,000. 10,000. How would you say 10,712? 10,000, and then 712. 12 is one of those that's between 11 and 15 that's a little funky, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 10,712. And 700 is one of those irregulars. It's not 700, it is 700. So we've got 10,712. Okay, bien. You know, these thousands just continue. Then you just continue building 1000, 2000, 15,000, 14,000, 20,000, and all the way up to, you know, if you want to say 200,000. Okay, so 200,000, 200,000. The numbers can get ridiculously big, right? So 250,101. 250,101. So how would you say 250? 250, 250, 250,000, that's 250,000. 250,000, 101. Okay, so these aren't super tricky, but they can get long, and you need to, for the most part, just think about how we say it in English, and it's pretty closely mirrored in Spanish as far as whether you need an and here or not, okay? But la parte dificil, when it comes to collecting information from your paciente, is to be able to hear these numbers as they come rapid fire. And I'll tell you that don't feel bad about having to ask your pacientes ¿cómo? Repita por favor, because even my advanced students have trouble hearing numbers the first time. And here's why. It's because they're grouped together and they're fast. And you've got to think quickly on your feet. So, los números de teléfono, here are some examples. So, here's my telephone number. How are you going to say it? So, typically it's going to be grouped into a convenient grouping of 2 or the natural number. There's no real convenient grouping of 2 here for 303. And so it's usually the natural number in this context, so 303. But then the convenient grouping of 2 is to usually say 684, 55, 57. Here's how it would sound in Spanish. 303, 684, 55, 57. So you asked the question from last week, ¿cuál es su número de teléfono? 303, 684, 55, 57. Okay, it's really fast. And you just need to, well, you need to nail the numbers, first of all. You need to make sure you know them well. But you also need to be able to, you know, listen to and listen for groups of 2. Okay? Even if that's not how you think about it in English. Bien, here's another one. 970-453-1567 is how you might say it in English, or 970-453-1567. But here's how you would break it up in Spanish. 970, 970, 453, 453, 15, 67. Okay? That's how you'll probably hear that number as you're asking your patient, what's your phone number? ¿Cuál es su número de teléfono? Now, las fechas are also a little bit tricky because the year is usually the natural number. It's not 1976, it's 1976. Okay, las fechas. El 5 de julio de 1976. Another tricky thing is that in Spanish we always have the day first and then the month. 5 de julio. And so if someone repeats back to you, if you say, ¿cuál es su fecha de nacimiento? And they say 5/7/1976, you'll be tempted to write 5/7/1976. But you probably need to ask your patient, ¿es el 5 de julio o el 7 de mayo? Okay? You need to ask the question because 5/7/1976 in English is the 7th of May, right? But in Espanol, it is the 5th of July. And so you need to ask that clarifying question if you just hear numbers. But you might hear the months, and so that makes it difficult as well. We're going to look at the months here in a minute, so you've got that straightened out. How about this one, the 22nd of March, 2019, which is today, right? So, el 22 de marzo 2019, the 22nd of March, 2019. So now in English, we would say 3/22/2019, just because we switch the month and the day. But in Spanish, 22 de marzo is written that way as well. Bien. So obviously, when you're talking fechas, months are super important. And I've got a really dorky song to help you know the months of the year. And I'm going to sing it for you, and you'll probably be embarrassed for me, but that's okay. Okay, los meses, para las fechas. Here it goes. En el invierno, diciembre, enero, febrero, la primavera, marzo, abril y mayo. En el verano, junio y julio y agosto. That got really high. Vienen septiembre, octubre, noviembre, para el otoño. All right, good. So what are we saying here? First of all, these are the seasons. Invierno is winter. So in the winter, diciembre, enero, febrero. December, January, February. The only one out of those three you maybe don't recognize is January. Okay, keep it easy. La primavera, spring. Marzo, abril y mayo. You recognize all of those, right? En el verano, junio, julio y agosto. Thank you, español. Those are perfectly clear. Vienen septiembre, octubre y noviembre para el otoño. So really the only month that's tricky that is not a cognate exact, well, similar in English, is January, which is enero, okay? That's really the only one you have to focus on. The rest of them you can kind of make sense of. Marzo, March, Abril, April, etc. Okay, you can sing the song on your own, but to line it out here, in the winter, invierno, we've got diciembre, enero, and febrero, and then en la primavera, marzo, abril y mayo. En el verano, summertime, junio, julio y agosto, and then en el otoño, fall, autumn, septiembre, octubre, and noviembre. So those are the months of the year for you. Hopefully that will help you. Bien, so los números, and part of patient intake and getting a patient set up is also vital signs, right? So numbers show up in some interesting but super important ways with explaining vital signs results también. So números y signos vitales. First of all, there are dos frases super útiles that you need to know when it comes to vital signs. First of all, voy a tomarle. I'm going to take your this, that, or the other. I'm going to take your blood pressure, your temperature, etc. Okay? Voy a tomarle, and then you fill in the blank. And then as you're communicating results, your blood pressure is 130/90 today. Su temperatura, here's temperature. Su temperatura está en, so whatever your vital sign is, but está en is how you're going to communicate the result. So, su temperatura está en 98.7 grados, 98.7 degrees, okay? So let's take a look at some specific blood pressure results and see how numbers play a role and what other units we need to be able to talk about. Okay, temperatura. We've got grados, that's our unit, degrees, and then we also have punto to keep in mind, which is that point, okay? So 98.7, how are you going to say that? How are you going to say, actually, your temperature is 98.7? You're going to go over here. Su temperatura está en, and now 98, 98.7. So let's see it written out. Su temperatura está en 98.7 grados, 98.7 degrees. Okay? Let's take a look at 101. What if you had to communicate your temperature is 101 degrees? Do you remember how to say 100? 1. 101. Okay, that's our number. So, su temperatura está en 101 grados, 101 degrees. Okay? La presión arterial, so blood pressure. For over, we're using sobre. Okay, we don't really have to worry about a unit here for blood pressure, but we do need to know sobre. So to say this, 120/80, we're going to say sobre 80. All right? So how are you going to say your blood pressure is 120 over 80. We're going to stick with está en, okay? So, su presión está en 120 sobre 80. How about this one? 130 over 90. Un poco más alto, yeah? Prehipertensivo. So your blood pressure is 130 over 90. Su presión está en 130 sobre 90. Okay? 90 over 60. I love my wife, but she drives me crazy. Her blood pressure is so good. This is like her blood pressure. 90 over 60. Bien. Su presión está en 90 sobre 60. Okay? 90 sobre 60. Bien. All right, continuing with signos vitales. Again, we've got our two frases. Voy a tomarle la presión. Voy a tomarle la temperatura. Voy a tomarle el oxígeno. Okay, your oxygen. Su temperatura está en whatever. All right, let's go with pulso. Pulso, we have latidos por minuto, beats per minute. So we have 60 beats per minute. So how are you going to say that? Your pulse is 60 beats per minute. Su pulso está en 60 latidos por minuto. 86. If it were 86, your pulse is 86 beats per minute. Su pulso está en 86. 86 latidos por minuto. Bien. Peso. So for weight, we have kilogramos and libras, right? Bien. So 98 kilos, 215 pounds, about the same. Okay, so how are we going to say that? Usted pesa. It's a little different. It's not your weight is at or your weight is in. It's simply you weigh. Okay? Usted pesa 98 kilogramos or 215 libras. Okay, you probably use, I don't know, maybe use pounds, maybe use kilos in your practice. Either way, you've got it covered here, kilogramos or libras. Okay, not libros, those are books, and not libres. Libre is free, free in the sense of unfettered, not gratis, like no money free. Free in the sense of able to move around as you please, free. Oxígeno. We've got por ciento is our unit for talking about oxygen percent, okay? So 98%, su oxígeno está en 98%. 98%. If it were 82, low, su oxígeno está en 82%. Okay, bien. That's what I have for you today. Thanks for putting up with my song about seasons and months of the year. Hopefully it was helpful. It might have just really hurt. But anyway, gracias por aprender español conmigo. Juntos realmente mejoramos comunidades. Para más oportunidades en español, head over to commongroundinternational.com and hasta el próximo viernes. Ciao! Thank you for joining me today on this Video Viernes lesson. I wanted to invite you to join our community if you're not a member of the Facebook group already that I deliver these live lessons in on most every Friday. And also point you to the website where you can find a bunch more information about medical Spanish, whether that be courses or free materials for you or finding a private tutor to work with you online or face-to-face. And also let you know about some amazing Spanish immersion programs, either you as a medical person or your significant other as working in some other industry or your family. If you want to improve your Spanish and you have time and budget to go do some travel, our programs are pretty amazing. I think it'd be fun to work with you. And finally, if you have some document work at your clinic or at your hospital or within your setting that needs to be professionally translated, shoot me a message, upload your document to us, and we can get you a quick quote and help you out with your Spanish language documents as well. Have a great day.